The NFC West has represented the NFC in 4 out of the last 6 Super Bowls, showing that this really has been the class of the NFC, proving that if you can win this division, you can go to the Super Bowl. And the 49ers themselves have been in 4 out of the last 5 NFC Championship games. Welcome back, or welcome to America's Sports. We're going to predict the NFC West. We're going to review everything that the teams have done over the last year, and then we're going to rank them 1st through 4th. This is volume 2 of the divisional predictions, but this is also a competition, so if you're competitive like I am, comment in the comment section who you think will take 1st all the way down to 4th. And we're doing this in every single video to see who comes out on top in predicting the most of these correctly. Per usual, we start off with the team that finished in last in 2023, and that was the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona was 4-13 overall with an 0-6 division record. Ouch. This year, the Cardinals sit at a plus 1,300 to win the division with an over-under win total at 7.5. Just at a glance, the odds makers are telling me that they do like the Cardinals to win more games and be better than last year. Honestly, it's not going to be hard to be better than last year if these guys are healthy. But they're giving them even worse odds to win the division this year. I don't think that really has anything to do with this team and this roster. I think it has more to do with, I think it speaks more to the other teams in the NFC West when looking at their additions and losses. The Cardinals, to me, really didn't lose a whole bunch. They did lose Marquise Hollywood Brown. He's in Kansas City now. We talked about him in the last video, in the AFC West predictions video. They did lose tight end Zach Ertz to the Washington Commanders. Cornerback Marco Wilson is with the New England Patriots, and all of these guys are quality players, but I think they made up and more than made up for these losses. One of the first things they did was got a DB to replace Marco with Sean Murphy Bunting. Murphy Bunting had 2 picks along with 8 passes defended, and also 2 forced fumbles. He averages more than 1 per year. They grabbed Evan Brown and Jonah Williams, 2 offensive linemen to add, but I'm really excited to tell you about all the players that they got in this year's draft. They were able to arrange themselves to be able to draft 12 players in this year's draft. And 5 of them right now are starters when looking at their depth chart. And I think the secondary has a chance to be much better than people are going to realize, especially if Max Melton turns out to be the stud that I think he can be. Now you add in wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. to the mix. He and Kyler Murray are going to be a sneaky good combo to have in fantasy football this year. You watch. 2 years ago, we saw Seattle shoot up and make the playoffs after having a bunch of picks in the 2022 draft. Last year, we saw the LA Rams shoot up and make the playoffs after having a shitload of picks in the 2023 draft. But all I'm saying is I see it trending the same way it did for Seattle and LA just a year or 2 behind them. Now, I will say I do think the beginning part of their schedule is absolutely brutal for it, especially for a team that got last in the division last year. It's possible that they could start 1-5, and Arizona is known to have some slow starts. However, by about week 9, it's not so crazy anymore. And pretty much just with any football team, it's a matter of staying healthy. James Conner, the running back, only played in 13 games, and Kyler Murray only played in 8 games. Not to mention Zach Ertz only played in 7 games. Hollywood Brown played in 14. Those 4 alone would have for sure made for better offense, and in points per game, they were near the middle of the pack. But what they were able to do consistently is run the ball. They finished 4th in rushing yards per game, ahead of teams like Detroit and Miami. If Conner and Murray stay healthy, it'll be just as good as again. So last year, they did not have one quarterback throw for 300 plus passing yards. They were second to last in points given up per game, while giving up the most rushing yards per game. They started 1-8, and while I was recording this, they just lost one of, if not their best pass rusher, heading into year 2 in BJ Ojulari. And that does worry me. That's just another injury that has plagued Arizona, but especially on a D-line that is already ranked last, according to PFF anyway. I think they've got a good chance to take 3rd. Now, I'm not going to have the balls to put them in 3rd, but I do think that they have a chance. So I give them 7 wins. With the potential max out, I would say at about 9-8, 10-7 if everything just went perfectly right. and 2 division wins. Third place with an overall record of 9-8 and a 2-4 division record was the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle's odds to win the NFC West are a plus 700 with the win total over under at 7.5. If I wasn't a die-hard Cincinnati Bengals fan, as you could maybe tell about the Bengal head I got right behind my head, I'd probably be a Seattle Seahawks fan. Some of my favorite running backs have come from Seattle, Kenneth Walker III just being the latest. Also, Tyler Lockett's one of my favorite wide receivers of all time. Alright, enough said there. The point I'm making is they always set themselves up to be successful. The same can be true for a lot of the NFC West. I mean, look at the Rams and the 49ers seemingly every year. Their odds to win the division last year were plus 800. They are plus 700 now. So in that year's time, they've gotten better by 100. Now let's see how that happened. Well, first we have to address that Bobby Wagner is gone from Seattle again. He's with the Commanders. Man, it seems like a lot of people have gone over to Washington. Bobby Wagner led the team and the entire NFL in total tackles last season. So yeah, for anyone, that's big. And Jordan Brooks is also gone. Brooks went to Miami. He had 4.5 sacks. He had a forced fumble. He had an INT. That is another just massive loss. What else can they lose on the defense? Safety Jamal Adams. Now, Jamal Adams may not have been the same player he was with the Jets, but still, when you take all 3 of those into consideration, that's a lot of veteran and just stud presence that's just not there anymore. All right, so who did Seattle add to make up for all of this? Last year, they made a trade with the Giants that brought in defensive end Leonard Williams. Well, they were able to re-sign him. That's big, and he was able to do a little bit more with Seattle than he was with New York. Leonard Williams has been around for a while, so they lose some veterans, but they're able to re-sign at least one of them. They brought in another vet at safety with Rayshon Jenkins. Jenkins, compared to Jamal Adams at this point in life, is a big upgrade. Jenkins doesn't miss games, and Jamal Adams has been injured, so I see why they did this. Apparently, they didn't have enough wide receivers either because they brought in Laviska Shenault as their 4th wide receiver and could possibly have the best wide receiving core in football. And they had another good draft. I think there may only be a couple of them that get a decent amount of playing time this year, but a good draft as well. I'm also a pretty big fan of their schedule. I think especially the way that it starts out. Denver and New England have some of the lowest win total over-unders in the league. They're home from Miami. They go to Detroit, but they won at Detroit last year. Not sure how Detroit gets to play them at home 2 years in a row, but that's fine, schedule makers. And then week 5 is home for the New York Giants. What Seattle needs to really do is get better at playing against the division, as last year the only wins that came from the NFC West for them was against Arizona. They got swept by both the Rams and the Niners, and for me, this is where Seattle's problem lies. Now, I think that this offensive line really hurts Seattle and Geno and Kenneth Walker III. And let me be clear, I don't think Geno Smith is a bad quarterback. He can definitely win you some games. But I wouldn't necessarily call him a game-changing quarterback either. There's nothing wrong with that. But he's not shown me that he can beat the 49ers yet. He has not beat the 49ers yet, including the playoffs. He is 0-5 against them, and those games really haven't been close. But I'm putting them at 8-9 with a 2-4 division record. I think that they're consistent, and I think that they will remain consistent. I think at max about 11-6. And I'm giving them 3rd place in the division. 2nd place in 2023 went to the LA Rams. They were 10-7 overall, but the key is they were 5-1 in the division. This year, they're a plus 330 to win the division with their win total over-under is at 8.5. Alright, the Rams are definitely another fun team. The Rams are fun, Seattle's fun, Arizona's fun, the whole damn NFC West. It's a good time. And one of my favorite playoff games last year was the Rams against the Lions. That was awesome. They did lose 24-23 in Detroit, but they damn near won that game. And Detroit is an outstanding football team. I'm extremely high on the Rams this year. And let's break down why that is. Let's start with their losses. Aaron Donald is finally no longer with the team, and he's actually not with the NFL anymore, as Aaron Donald retired. I'm sure you heard about it. They lost another defensive lineman. Jonah Williams is now with the Vikings. Safety Jordan Fuller is also gone, as Jordan Fuller goes to Carolina. Ben Skowronek also left. Hope I said that right. I could never pronounce it right. Let me know in the comments if I said it right.
Skowronek.
Anyway, he's with Houston now. Running back Darrell Henderson Jr. is not on the team anymore. He's been on the team since 2019. Alright, so who did they add to this team? Their biggest move was picking up DB Tre'Davious White. White did only play in 4 games last year, and he only played in 6 the year before. So he's got some health issues to overcome here, as the last time he's played in all the games in the season, 2018. But he's an impactful player. And their second biggest, or maybe their biggest move, was also getting the guard Jonah Jackson to help out this offensive line. That's really about it. They brought in another tight end, Colby Parkinson, as well. Also, they have a backup quarterback in Jimmy G in case something happens to Stafford. Now, the offensive and the defensive line is what's very interesting to me. Both of these could take a big step up or a big step back. PFF has the offensive line ranked at 16th, while the defensive line is at 23rd. The defense does need to generate some more sacks, but I think they will, and I think they will be better than 23rd. And yes, I'm aware that Aaron Donald is no longer on the team. But they're kind of loaded with a bunch of young guys on the D-line, and I think Kobe Turner is a guy that could really come out and have a great second year. And then you add in their draft picks for this year. 5 of their first 6 picks were on defense because they know that they need defense. It's putting pressure on the quarterback and getting to the running back and stopping the run, as well as that's where the questions lie for this team. They were 24th in total sacks last year, and they were a -3 in turnover differential as well. So causing some turnover is going to be huge for them this season. But they don't go to San Francisco until week 15, and then the last 2 games of theirs are home division games that could put a lot on the line for them. Last year they were a +375 to win the division, and they've now boosted up to about 330. I think these are wonderful odds. If you think that the Niners are finally going to be dethroned, this is the team that would do it. They were 5-1 in the division last year, though, and I'm going to give them a 4-2 division record this year. And I've got them going 11-6 this year. Look out for the LA Rams. As always, saving the best for last, the San Francisco 49ers not only won last year's division, but also the year before. They had a 12-5 overall record with a 5-1 division record last year. And this year, they're a -190 to win the division again, with the win total over-under at 11.5. That's tied for the highest with the Kansas City Chiefs. In 2002, this NFC West was formed, the NFC West that we know today. And since then, no team has won the division 3 years in a row. Well, the 49ers have won the division the past 2 years. So if that trend were to continue, someone new has got to step up this year. Let's check out San Francisco's additions and losses. Well, starting on the defensive line, they did lose Eric Armstead, a guy who went and played his first 9 years in San Francisco. Linebacker Al-Shaair went to the Texans. Man, a lot of people went to the Texans this year. Here's another big hit. DB Emmanuel Mosley is now with the Detroit Lions. Now, Mosley is a guy that also, like Armstead, he's been hurt the last couple of years. He torn his ACL 2 years straight. And on offense, they didn't really lose much. It's pretty much the same players. Now, there are some guys that are holding out, but the Niners have success, so guys hold out for them pretty much every season. I think in the end, when it's time to play, they will play. Alright, so who did they add? Well, the biggest key here is picking up defensive end Leonard Floyd. Man, Buffalo lost a lot on defense, didn't they? That could come back to bite him in the ass. Anyways, Floyd basically plays in every single game. He had 10.5 sacks last year, and he spent 3 seasons with the Rams, so he knows the NFC West pretty well. Their draft went pretty well, as you would imagine a Niners draft would go. I thought they would get a little bit more on the offensive line, as the offensive line is really the only somewhat of a weakness that San Francisco has. Oh well, they know better than I do. PFF has this offensive line ranked at 24th, while the defensive line is rated number 2 in the league. And every single year, you could look at their schedule and go, oh, that's pretty tough. The Niners have success every year, so they're pretty used to this shit. In all honesty, though, at least at the beginning, I think they have a pretty lenient schedule for just going to the Super Bowl last year. Weeks 6 through 13 do ramp up pretty severely, though. I think San Francisco matches up very well against the rest of the division, Arizona and Seattle. They've just had their number over these last couple years. Kyler Murray has been hurt, and Russell Wilson did leave. But hey, that's not the Niners' fault. The Niners have matched up very well ever since. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to try to come up with a way to not give them first place in this division, and I just don't see it happening. They're going to be the first ones since the NFC West, as we know it today, can and will win this division 3 years straight. And if you made it to the end, good job, great for you, I thank you. Make sure to comment who you think is going to place 1st through 4th in this division and all the rest of the videos. If you're going to call me a dumb, stupid idiot, at least tell me why. But that's it for me, guys. You'll catch me in the next one.